letting it ride a little bit today, kids.
What up, what up, what up?
Oh, my messy beard.
All that scraggle.
My beard is...
That was for the people.
Don't call me Jesse.
What is happening?
I'll tell you where I be.
What is happening?
Under the sea.
Oh, did you see who the Sebastian's gonna be for the live action Little Mermaid?
Nope.
Daveed Diggs.
Who the hell's that?
Oh, damn, guys. Daveed Diggs, the guy from Hamilton. He was on a whole bunch of shit.
Never saw Hamilton.
No,
Never.
I know, but
Confused face.
famous.
Oh, why would you say Hamilton instead of saying like Blind Spotting?
I don't know. Have a lot of people seen Blind Spot? Didn't it just come out?
No, Blind Spot. Have you seen it?
No, I want to see it though.
Oh, it's fucking.
But
cool.
Daveed, the reason I said Daveed Diggs from Hamilton because that's where he literally got his start. He was just doing.
Oh.
That's where he got his. He started in theater with Lin-Manuel.
I see.
And he was in the group.
Well,
he was in the group clipping. C and lowercase c l n p n g. I think, if I'm wrong.
No clue, bro. You're not helping this case.
Yeah,
But
making me more confused than I was before.
Blind Spotting was dope, and he was in Snowpiercer too, actually.
Yeah, he's gonna be the lead in Snowpiercer.
Oh, the leader was in the movie.
He's gonna be the lead in the show.
Yeah, sorry, he was hired. Whatever, that's what I meant to say. Snowpiercer.
I really like that movie. It's a really good movie.
Hold on, let me see if I
It's
can.
very unique.
Daveed Diggs. Yeah, his name doesn't really like come to mind
3 days.
yet.
Damn, what? There's no info about them. Hip hop group Clipping. Okay, yeah. So Daveed Diggs, the producer William Hudson and Jonathan Snipes are the group
It makes
Clipping.
sense now, though. Makes sense because in Blind Spotting there's like sping scenes, and he's like hitting like some straight up poetry. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, he's a rapper.
Crazy.
Yeah, noise rap, industrial hip hop, experimental hip hop. Okay, well there you go. Random. Hey guys, this is That's Canon, and that was your random intro.
All about comic books here.
Nothing to do with comics.
Sometimes you just got to give the people something new, something interesting.
Need the tangents.
Mm-hmm.
Brings in the questions.
You got to do something fun.
Some quirky.
There you go.
Some unexpected.
Y'all think we could do the whole episode in this type of accent? I don't know.
You know I can.
I don't know if people would like to hear about Paper Girls. Hey-haw! By Brian K. Vaughan.
Bunch of newspaper ladies.
Oh, I forgot to bring my copy in here.
Well, you gave up on that real quick.
I'll drink this one for both of us.
There you go. It's early, guys, on this morning. I don't want to say what
I heard
day.
you say I forgot to bring my coffee in here, but you meant your copy.
Yeah, my copy. Yeah, I don't have my copy of the comic.
We don't record early in the morning at all, people.
No, it's
It's
if you're watching the
wide
video,
awake.
by the way, we're recording this one on video. It's going to be part of it, if all goes well. Fingers crossed. The idea is that we will have these as part of the Patreon. So if you guys like listening to the podcast, you can also watch the video if you are a patron from our Patreon, and you'll get to see our handsome faces on this.
I think he's here.
This wild Sunday evening or Tuesday afternoon. You never know when we're recording.
It's whenever your heart desires
Yeah,
to
there you
listen
go.
to this podcast.
There you go.
I don't know why we stick to this day though. It's the only day that works.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the only day that worked for all of us.
That's funny.
And I feel like we've mentioned what day it is in
Numerous times.
yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, kids.
I gotta fix my mic stand if I'm gonna be on video.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot you have
I'm
the mic.
I'm holding the mic in my hand all the time.
Old school.
Yeah.
So I guess you know what? I'm gonna let you guys continue. I'm actually gonna go get my copy because I want to read the back.
OCD about
No, but I want to read the back.
Okay, fair enough.
So you guys start off.
Okay, well, I mean, it's been a minute, and I got nothing to stall, so I wish I did. It's gonna look pretty for you people.
This is like watching a car crash.
You
right
know?
now. Just a slow.
Like, there's
steady
no
car
intro
crash.
to the comic books. You
I'm
don't
just gonna
talk
stay
about
in the
comic books for
background.
5 minutes. Just
I'm
chilling
gonna stay
around.
in the background and let you just keep going on this random tangent you were going on.
We
That was
need more
hilarious.
likes. We need more likes. Toby, do a pose. Get the one in the back.
I just like the idea that the first video episode ever will be the one where it's the least organized, at least
most unprofessional version we've ever done this
It's
show.
not even that. It's as soon as you left, Dave just didn't know how to keep people.
Talk about anything.
I was the deer in the headlights.
You literally could have talked about Brian K. Vaughan is the writer. Did you know he wrote on like anything would have worked in that time?
I couldn't talk about Lost because then this would have just gone on a larger tangent about not comic book stuff and how bad Lost was. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Lost was shit.
And then I would have walked back in and reeled you in. That's the whole point.
Well, I mean, we're doing it now.
Oh my gosh!
All right,
you need more practice at this, Davey boy.
All right, guys. So
you bring me because I'm pretty, not because I'm smart.
Oh boy. Kids, we're going to be talking about Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan, art by Cliff Chiang, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by Jared K. Fletcher. This was released initially, the first issue came out in October 2015. It is an Image comic title, and we're going to start off with the elevator pitch. So, but first, before that, let's read the description.
Are you ready, good sir?
From Brian K. Vaughan's #1 New York Times best-selling writer of saga, and Cliff Chiang, legendary artist of Wonder Woman, comes the first volume of an all-new ongoing adventure. In the early hours after Halloween of 1988, 4 12-year-old newspaper delivery girls uncover the most important story of all time. Suburban drama and supernatural mystery collide in this smash hit series in this smash hit series about nostalgia, first jobs, and the last days of childhood.
The last days.
Good job, Thespian.
Thank you. That was my thespian voice.
That is great. Is there another one? Or is that the only?
Do you have one for? Because I know that Dave has the actual comics. I read that right off the actual volume run trade.
Yeah, every single.
I feel like they all pretty much say the pretty much the same thing.
In the early hours of Halloween.
Yeah, it's the 80s. It's Halloween. It's kids on bikes. What's the other? Isn't there
more or less the same thing?
It's Super 8 is the other movie that's like that. It's Stranger Things. They've all done it. It's if you're gonna do a movie about the 80s and kids, it's almost always the same. 80s kids, bikes, weird shit going on.
Aliens, alternate reality, time travel.
Elevator pitch. You want me to start? All right, yo, boss, I got this plan, man. Brian, what are you doing? Oh man, I've been drinking all night, and I like watched this movie with my friends, The Goonies, and then I watched this other movie with my friend, Super 8, and then I went into the future and heard about this show called Stranger Things, and then I came back from the traveling to the future and came back to now so I could pitch this to you. Yo, I got this wild idea. What is the idea? Okay, check this out. You get 4 girls. Why do you want to write 4 girls? You're a guy. You don't know how to write women's voices. Yo, I know how to write a woman's voice, especially a 12-year-old girl. I know how to talk like a 12-year-old girl. We're homophobic, we're disrespectful, but we're also soft and strong. And we don't know things, but we know a lot of things. Okay, keep explaining. Okay, so 4 girls trying to understand life the day after Halloween, dealing with teenagers and otherworldly teenagers. You know what I'm saying?
Not just any teenagers. Teenage boys.
Teenage boys. Because teenage boys are the worst. I was a teenage boy. I was a horrible person. That's why I want to write from the perspective of a teenage girl, because I know what I was like and I want to be the opposite of that, but still put in parts of myself. That makes no sense. It will make sense. You got to read it though. Okay. I mean, yeah, put a draft on my desk. Thanks, boss. There you go. That's my elevator.
There's no way I can do better than that. I legit have nothing. I was gonna go. You ever heard about Stranger Things? Well, let's just redo that.
But it's before Stranger Things.
Before Stranger Things.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
October 2015, and Stranger Things comes out 2016.
Okay.
But interesting.
I know.
Because it's so close, though. Like obviously, TV shows are in production before that, right?
But I mean,
so if he
released a comic book in 2015,
that's plenty of time for this show to be influenced by it.
I guess he'd have to have found out though. Like he'd have to have found out what it was about. Maybe even spoken to the guys, because I feel like Netflix isn't gonna have people running around being like, "Hey, by the way, we're like."
but who,
By the way,
it's not Netflix, right? It's the producers or like the
Yeah.
director, right? So it's possible they,
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
It is, Dave.
Like, hey boss, how's it going? Oh man, dude, you don't look that good. Yeah, man, I went to like the Netflix party last night. It was pretty crazy. I ended up like stumbling into like the writer's room by accident and picked up this thing called Stranger Things. It's a little tacky and whatnot, but it was like all set in the 80s and like got me interested. And I've been trying to figure out like this way of doing like a new version of Hellmouth because I'm a huge Buffy fan, and this was about 4 dudes, so I'm gonna make it about 4 girls, and I'm gonna make a Hellmouth in this place called Riverdale. That's where I use. All right, we're just gonna use. Hello.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you guys in here. I couldn't help but overhear. Dave, that sounds exactly like what Brian just pitched.
Oh shit! I thought I heard it before, but it's all good, man. But so instead of calling it like Riverdale, I think we're gonna call it Stream because they wanted to put it on a streaming service, and that's about as much as I got.
Oh my god!
And then
first off, you haven't even watched Stranger Things, so I feel like it's unfair for you to say it's similar to Stranger Things. Dave has never watched Stranger Things and is comparing it to a show he's never watched.
I watched the first episode and
in
5 minutes of some
scenarios,
random season.
In Brian's scenario, I'm like the cubicle guy next to you who just inserted something. And then in his scenario, I'm just walking by from my coffee break and I overheard you pitching the same thing. I was like, wait a second. Did I just hear that by Brian's desk?
Well, my version, I'm clearly intoxicated, which doesn't... bode well for this review.
Yeah, my elevator pitch, I think the theme here is that it's going to be pretty similar because those are exactly the themes, which is why I kind of just jumped in on both ears, because at the end of the day, it literally does feel like Super 8, Stranger Things, and
any
Goonies,
any 80s story with kids and bikes and
that's so true. Kids and bikes. It's a weird.
But I mean, it's because it's what we did, right? In the 80s, kids, no one had a car.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't really a kid like that in the 80s, though, unfortunately.
Oh, really? I was definitely. I didn't learn to ride my bike until I was 10. So I was 93, but instead of riding a bike, I was on a skateboard. So me, it was like skateboard holding onto your friend's bike, riding around in the late 80s.
That's dope.
Like, and like the cheesy, like literally cheesy, like quiet streets with trees from both sides, creating this arch over it, and like riding to the park. Like that was my life in the 80s. So every time I watch these movies or read these comic books, I'm just like, yes, that's literally what I did.
The neighborhoods I grew up in NDG and stuff was kind of similar to that.
Which Ghostbuster am I? Which Ninja Turtle am I? It was always like you pick groups of 4, and it was you and your 3 other friends. Usually you almost always had groups of 4 because television regularly depicts it as groups of 4s.
It's very true. Now
so you start to just like build these groups of 4 without realizing you're doing it.
Hey guys, can I join you? No, we don't need a 5th.
Yeah, exactly. Because once someone
for every sport, a lot of games, you do need teams of either 2 or 4, right? You need double, or like in video games,
tennis.
The multiplayer is either 2 or 4. If you're a third person, you're always waiting your turn. So, like, if you have 4 controllers, then you can play 2 versus 2. Also, you mentioned skateboarding. Dude, I used to skateboard, too, when I was younger. And when I was in California last, I was like, oh, I saw, like, a bunch of skateboards. Like, maybe this is a chance for me. Like, I've always been thinking about the past couple of years to buy a skateboard again. And I went in and just getting on one after not being on one for, like, 15 years or so. It's crazy how, like, I was uncomfortable. I was like, dude, what the hell is this?
It really sucks when you're like, when you were a kid, you could like run and jump on your skateboard and start rolling, and you were never afraid of falling. And then last time I got on a skateboard, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Like you're an inch off the ground. I'm gonna die.
Like you're like the whole idea of like balance and your core and everything was just like out the window, and it's just
gone.
Like,
they have
so weird.
They have a new interesting skateboard that's a one-wheeled board though.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah,
It
actually,
looks really cool.
One of my friends is selling one in New York. He just posted his.
No way.
But it's the one with the motorized wheel, right?
Yeah, like it's like you stand like it's literally in the center between your feet.
Yeah.
And then it looks really cool.
Yeah, he's selling his $900 if anyone's interested. Dang. By the time this episode comes out, already sold. Sorry, folks.
So right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna start the show off right as we usually do. We're gonna be doing our judgment call. This one is myself versus Dave. And our buddy Toby is the judge this week.
I am.
So we've
each
picked characters. The theme this week is Teen Titan characters.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to do our explanation or a description of?
Sure. Because it's been a while.
Jugement cool.
I think it's been a while. Well, whether it's a judgment call, it's fight for your right for your character to be in the spotlight. We both get 3 minutes to talk up a character. Then we get a minute to tear down the other person, whether or not we go after their character, their families, or anything about themselves, their hygiene. It doesn't matter. We just go and tear them down, and that's about it.
All right.
We're just going to tear them down. And it's funny because both of you sent me your characters beforehand, so I was aware that you weren't picking the same character, but there is something linking both of your characters, oddly enough. Even though you guys picked them at random, there's like this weird connection between the two.
Interesting. I'm looking
that I will point out later.
Okay, so who wants to go first? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh yeah.
We will let.
One,
go ahead.
2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Very well.
I want you to go first.
What? Okay.
The winner wins. The winner chooses.
I thought it was just the winner.
The winner chooses.
That's right.
No, I thought if you win.
Yeah, either way, I would have gone first. Is
that's true. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have 1 minute. No, how much? 3 minutes? Oh man, I totally forgot how long we.
3 minutes is long, right?
We haven't done this one in a while.
I could do 3 minutes on this though. So 3 minutes on the character Panther from Titans, introduced in.
Not Panther. Panther.
Yeah, introduced in 1991, created by Wolfman and I don't remember the other person. But yeah. Okay.
Tom Grummett.
Yes, thank you. So is my time starting, or is it already started? Or?
Time starting now.
So Panther is a character that is part of the Titans. Was created in 1991 when the team was looking for a new look. She was introduced at a time where they were looking to adapt to something new and something more. I guess they're trying to move away from the idea of teens and move more towards the idea of young adults. Is what it seems like. Nightwing was no longer just Nightwing, the teenage hero with his, kind of Robin suit. He now had the gold and the blue, but not the one with the high, the high neckline like he used to. This was your new team. This was the new, as a character, was kind of often just thrown in to be an attractively drawn female Catwoman-like character. In most of the stories that I've read with her, there was never really a focus on her as a character, but a focus kind of like her being an offshoot of something else that had happened. And I think that was something that was being done a lot at one point in comic books. A lot of the female characters were being introduced as girl of, like She-Hulk, blah, 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 blah. It's always a female version of something. And in this case, it was the Wildebeest Society, where she was a character, and she was the only surviving member of a test program. While the majority of the Wildebeest bioengineered test subjects perished, Panther survived and escaped. And that's, it's kind of that, usual story that we have in comic books where someone is tested on, transformed, and then escapes, or, the last of their kind,
Connor.
Yeah. So there's a lot of repeated themes in here, and I'm not gonna pretend like that's not the case. Wolfman, a classic comic book writer, probably had a very uniform style of writing things. When you have if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is probably the mentality that they applied back in the day. So when you're writing characters, it's just like, oh, I already have the formula, so let me just apply some of the formula that I've written with these characters in the past, apply it to a female character and shoot them out there. Why I think Panther would be an interesting character in 2019 now, a character that hasn't had a lot of doesn't have a lot of baggage to them, doesn't have a lot of background story, doesn't have a lot of we could change it up a bit. Instead of the classic Russia versus the US, where she was like the Wildebeest Society and Russian and all those cliches, you might be able to change up where the character's from, or even continue where the character's from, but adapt it for a new story. The idea that Russia is its own superpower and can have superheroes and can have a solid team and can introduce that character into the American storyline without it being, she tried to escape evil Mother Russia. Like, you know, that was always a theme back in the day. We don't have to do stuff like that anymore. We can have solid female characters who represent a lot of great things. And I think Pantha is one of those characters who, you know, has cliche power set, but could have an interesting story. And that's what I think is more important. The cliche aspect of the character, the cat aspect and all that stuff is there. It's always going to be there. I can't get rid of it. And I'm okay with that. But sometimes it's more about what you write than who you're writing about. And I think Pantha is a type of character that, because there's no baggage, would be perfect to do that with.
Time.
Here we go.
You got an extra 4 seconds.
Cool.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
You mentioned that she was actually engineered in the lab and all these things, and she was only surviving.
Yeah.
Her designation was actually X-24.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
But they never actually explained why. And this is around 91. If you also look at the art for Pantha at the time, it's very X-Men like.
Yes. Yes. Very much.
It looks very Marvel versus DC. So I think this was their way of sort of trying to attract that audience.
Yeah.
At the time.
She even has the claws around her neck. The kind of like Black Panther type thing. Yeah.
X-24.
There you go.
Cool. All right, Dave. You ready?
Yeah, who's your character? I'm excited now after Toby said.
Who is your character?
Like,
and I can tell you guys want me to tell you the connection before or after?
No, we'll wait till after. I just want to hear, so I see if I can figure it out for myself.
All righty. Ready?
Yep.
Set. Go.
Strong female leads, good story and background, something worth writing about? Well, thank you, Brian. That's a good setup for Starfire, who I'm going to promote today. Someone who's worth the time.
Starfire?
Yeah, Starfire. You know, Coriander.
Oh, okay.
You know, someone who's like, you know, important, fun to read, and, you know, more memorable than some half name. But anyways, sorry, I'm getting more into like the defensive part right off the bat. That's because, well, my character I know is worth writing about because she's super interesting. However, unfortunately, she's not being executed right for the last little bit because, unfortunately, on the show Titan, she's been given a little bit too less of time, in my opinion. She should have a bit more focus because the thing that's cool about Coriander is she's someone who has fought from the slums. She was a princess who was then eventually brought into a slavery scenario and then found her way to Earth. She's someone who, when she came to Earth, was finally feeling emotions for basically the first time and like finding out what it is to not be like a hollow shell, which is one of the reasons why it'd be really cool to follow her story as not just a person leaving her world behind, not just as a person leaving slavery behind, but as a person really coming into their own and experiencing life for the first time, being able to follow someone and really figure out, like, you know what is it to live? That's what Starfire is about, and that's why we should make more stories about her. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't need the other time.
I love it. Short, sweet, straight to the point. That's like how I do it most of the time. Okay. You guys want to take a gander or guess at the connection?
They both slept with Dick Grayson?
Arsenal?
No. Although I wouldn't put it past Dick. I mean,
I have a comic book where Pantha and Grayson are like getting close. I don't know if they actually slept together, but
yeah, I'm sure it happened behind the scenes somewhere. All right, so the connection is Pantha actually left the Teen Titans with a character called Red Star.
Yeah.
Red Star's first name when he was the first official Russian superhero in the DC universe, Starfire.
Oh, interesting.
So once they actually the what's it called? The new character was introduced in Titans. He's he was like the one whose name had to go. So he changed his name from Starfire to Red Star.
Oh, so that's why he changes his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like surprised. You chose Starfire and you chose Pantha, but then she used to date this guy who used to be called Starfire. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys both get a minute to tear down the other person's character, and I'm gonna let you go first, Dave.
Oh, really? Okay.
You went shorter. You went for the minute and a half, so I need to hear a good tear down here. You ready?
That's fine.
Go and go.
All right. Well, as Brian said, you know, they tried to do something where it's like, you know, if it's broke, don't fix it. But it's more like it's broke, just throw it in the trash. It's half-ass in the name. Panth. You can't get through the whole name. At the end of the day, it's a fail. It's a fail in half-ass name, half-ass story. poor version of poor man's Catwoman. They're reaching for Marvel glory, not for their own glory. They're trying to fake it on like X-24, X-23. What are we talking about? Oh, they both have claws. How many repeaters do you have? That isn't there also like, what is it, Tigress? That's also essentially the exact same thing. Oh, do you have those little beads around your neck like Black Panther? Oh, okay, so you're just a ripoff, of Black Panther, female version of it. And are you gonna show up anywhere? No, because no one cares. You're so like just forgettable. Go away. Just go away. That's all I'm gonna say. Just go away.
Oh, you're muted, Tobes, by the way.
Oh, I was like, just go away. I love it. Also, they did bring her back once, actually, during Maxwell Lord's domination. But she was instantly killed within like 5 seconds of coming back.
Yeah.
All right.
For reasons.
Doc, I'm just dropping fun facts today. All right, Doc, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And start.
So X-24 came out before X-23, so your point already failed. Also, let's be honest, we're talking about Starfire. This part of the show, Judgment Call, is supposed to be to impress why a character is important and interesting to continue writing about and hasn't necessarily gotten enough shine. And you literally picked one of the most famous female characters in the Titans team. Every animated movie with the Titans, every comic book with the Titans, with the Outsiders, with the TV show. You picked the one person who would not make sense to pick in a situation of who didn't get enough screen time. She literally is the embodiment of the female characterization of that team. She is the first female of the Titans as people think of it. Not even Wonder Girl is as popular with the Teen Titans as Starfire. She's the star. You picked the weirdest character. Why would we write more stories about someone that's literally been written to death in the most boring ways?
Time.
God. This is what happens to give me 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Good God.
This is great. Actually, where did you see that X-24 came before X-23?
I checked the dates of creation, 1991 versus 2004 first appearance.
You know why you had to look it up? Because it's boring.
I looked it up for both characters. So X-23 is equally boring? That doesn't make sense.
I actually don't like X-23.
X-24 is also the name of the version of Wolverine at the end of Logan.
That I did remember that.
Okay. Wow. On one hand, I really like Starfire. On the other hand, I like that you picked someone obscure to pretty much most Titans connoisseurs out there. Both, I was going to say both black, but Starfire really is only black in the Titans universe. I do like Corey's background. I've always kind of wanted to dive a bit more into the royalty aspects of it, though there have been storylines that touched on it. They haven't been deep enough. And Titans, the TV show, sort of is giving us some glimpses of that, but I don't think they're going to go deeper as well. Panther, on the other hand, I actually would kind of like to see her get more sort of a background and not just this discarded experiment like Connor Kent, who actually he himself is getting a lot more shine these days in terms of that kind of story. They found a way to kind of tell his story right. Do I want new character or more Starfire?
Do you want a star, kitten?
Do I want a star? An iconic.
The problem with Panther is
who's already there.
I just don't know. She never really got along with the team. She was like very hostile.
Yeah. All things that I think in this day and age are important to explore. Versus someone who makes out with everyone and learns.
Actually, here I found it. Panther was overtly hostile towards her teammates, often ridiculing and berating them. Despite her attitude, her feral abilities made her valuable assets.
Doesn't sound like she can make the cut anywhere, really. Just keeps.
Can I just pick both?
Can I pick both?
It's tough because I really like Starfire. I like to see more, but I also am pretty curious about how a new character. Dave, I'm sorry, man. It's like a slight edge. Like I would pick Starfire because I could see her running her own movie. but in terms of a new character that I feel deserves, I've never really. It made.
Oh, you cut out for a second, homie.
It cut out just like her name.
It made.
It made me curious to find out a bit more and how much better of a story we can tell with a character like this.
Yes, like I kept saying,
there are opportunities to kind of link her to other parts of the sort of DC universe, because she also fought Catwoman before and stuff like that. So
I just like the idea of not having baggage. That to me is one of those things that, as a writer,
your character has nothing, no baggage, no nothing.
Yeah, and your character has the most. Like, your character has so much history.
Like an enriching
almost
history
too
that
much.
should be told, right?
No, but it's been told. What?
Not really, not in detail.
How do you call it history if we know it and it was never written?
You could technically read the back of a comic book.
Yeah, the thing about Starfire is
but
what
that's
Doc
reading about
said,
it.
is the
My
fact that she has gotten shine.
Yeah,
it's not like she's a forgotten. If she was, she wouldn't be in the Titans TV show. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Also, you literally read the comics, the 2 versions of that team where she's on it.
You mean Red Hood?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it was still not enough.
I'm leaving the gaps open specifically so you could fill in, because you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. That proves the point. You were thinking of multiple titles. You're like, what other titles have I read with Starfire? Red Hood?
Mentions. It's mentions. It's not details. I want the details. I want the grits. I don't need someone who's just a fake Catwoman.
Have you read all
Catwoman's
of her
like
comic
not
books?
necessarily the most engaging
have you read
person.
every comic book with Starfire in it?
I don't know.
No, probably not.
Have you read every comic book with Penth?
Pretty much, because she has no history.
How do you know?
Because I looked up the lineage of all
and you saw
of her appearances, and I
one?
have most of those. I used to collect the New Titans when she's on the team. That's why I knew what he was talking about.
Why would you?
You know what would be sick too?
Was
is
interesting and not anymore.
Well, because I didn't have money. Wait, you want to talk about my finances? I didn't have enough money to buy all the New Titans. I'm sorry, Dave. Not all of us are filthy rich. Like, what argument are you trying to make? You're trying to prove why I stopped this. Now, back then, when I was buying them as a kid, I didn't have a lot of money.
Have you gone back to read any Panther?
I haven't gone back to read any titles that I used to read as a kid. So that point is moot. Because you're trying to make the point, why didn't I continue reading about this character? I didn't continue reading about anyone. I didn't continue reading about Dick Grayson for most of the time.
It sounds just
the only
more
time I read
like,
about him was when he took over as
if
Batman.
you cared, you would have saw more things with that character.
But I didn't care about any of them.
Or the other characters.
Okay. And in your case, you care about Starfire so much you read everything so far. There you go. Sorry.
I let you guys go.
Yeah, I know. We went long.
It's time to rein it in a little bit.
Flipping over this table. Let's go.
Let's get to the nitty gritty.
But you know what story I want to see? It's like she's on the Titans, it's all good, and then she's like she becomes the sort of villain, because at one point she's actually a member of the Black Lanterns. So it'd be cool to kind of just flip it on its head with Panther. But that's the end of that. Panther wins. Sorry, Dave. I love Starfire though. All right.
She should go the way as all the supporting characters in the Deadpool 2 movie.
Starfire?
No, Panther.
Oh, I thought you wanted Starfire
to die. She should die
like,
gruesome death. That's
I was like, why would you want Starfire to die?
What was that other character that you liked that should have not died in Deadpool 2, but did? Because
we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Thank you, Judge.
Right,
I like when the judge is making points against you.
I see how it's teaming up. I see how it is.
Because you're still.
This is my court. All right, I can do whatever the hell I want in my court. I could hug the guilty if I want, like Amber Geiger's judge.
Oh anyway, my God!
Jesus. Aggressive.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna start this with a discussion about the plot, I guess, as a whole. What did you guys think? We made a lot of.
Was that intention? Plot hole? Is that why you said that?
I didn't mean it, but I will take it.
That's funny.
So we made connections at the beginning between Stranger Things, Super 8, Goonies,
definitely. Yeah.
What made you sort of make those connections to begin with? I guess we could explain that.
The art style, definitely.
Yeah, for me, it was very much the art style and like the way the story's written. You have the 4 archetype characters. I mean, Mackenzie is, at first I was like, man, Mackenzie's a problematic character, but I also get why Mackenzie is the way Mackenzie is, because in the 80s, especially with what sounds like an older brother who might have been aggressive, kind of because it sounds like Mackenzie's brother was like a troublemaker because Mackenzie has that interaction with the cop. The cop says following the family business. Mackenzie references the fact when they're in the woods with those other two teenage boys. She's just like, my brothers told me to never trust teenage boys, and he's one. Like, there's a lot of those references.
Very, very overprotective, and it's sort of maybe.
Mackenzie's has rough edges.
Yeah, definitely.
First thought when things go bad, go find a gun. Like,
it's always extremes.
Yeah, finds out that the two guys are gay, starts to make mad homophobic comments. Keeps referring
she's
to
probably
them.
Seen her brother sort of be aggressive towards
for sure
boys
in the 80s.
So,
a teenage boy in the 80s. Like
it also made me think maybe she's closeted herself.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Well,
yeah.
Right, with the sort of her demeanor and stuff like that, the short hair. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stereotypical archetypes in here that can make you think that way.
For sure.
In terms of the plot, it's pretty much we start off with what is her name again? Tiffany.
We have Tiffany, KJ, Aaron, and Mackenzie. I'm pretty sure Aaron Chiang. Aaron Tiang. Tieng.
Okay, so Tiff is our first character that we meet.
No, Aaron's the first character we meet.
Aaron is the first.
Aaron is the first character we meet. Okay.
Tiffany's a black girl.
Yes, you're right. And KJ is the one with the
shillelagh,
whatever that weapon is.
Yeah,
it's Irish weapon.
Irish stick, essentially.
Yeah. And she pretty much, this girl starts a new paper route, and she's going on her paper route, runs into a group of boys who try on, I think it's Halloween.
It's the day after Halloween.
Yep.
Just after Halloween.
Yeah.
And they try to they start harassing her, and these three girls show up to defend her. And they're like, hey, we run the paper routes in these other parts of town. We usually stick together and run our paper routes. All the boys try to bully us, but they can't touch us if we're all together as one. So they start, they include her in the group, and then they stumble upon, I guess, one of their they split up in a group of two, so 2-2. And one of the group of girls gets attacked by some guys who stole their walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And then Aaron and
Mackenzie.
Mac
go
back to find these two girls who stole your walkie-talkie. They start looking around, and they see this abandoned house. They go in the abandoned house, and they see what looks like an alien craft.
Yeah.
And pretty much that alien craft starts making a weird noise, and before they can do anything, there's a big flash of light, and flash of light goes away. They come back, and they leave the building. And now their neighborhood doesn't look the same anymore.
Yeah.
No, the sky.
And here's a connection to Stranger Things is that they're in one reality, and once that flash of light goes and comes back, comes and goes away, they are in what I guess called the upside down at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
but I was a little confused as far as like, are they in an alternate reality? Are they in a different time?
Well, it sounds
or is their reality being morphed?
It sounds like Heck and Naldo, I think, are their names. Yeah. The teenage boys
the deformed teenage boys.
Yeah, they look like Eric Schultz in what movie was it that he did where he was like in Mask?
Well, they also look like Goonie characters.
They look like Goonie characters. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? So you kind of have these teenage boys who try to explain it to Aaron, and the way they're explaining it, it's like it's not really time travel. And I think my favorite part was when they go to their Wen house.
Yeah,
because they have instead of warehouse, it's a Wen house, and I was just like, ooh, Vaughan really pulling out the stops on this one. With
we have to get back before curfew was like it's weird dialogue.
Yes, very very weird.
Well, sorry, the not the people from Earth, the other people.
This new reality they go in, the teenage boys in that reality are deformed.
Yeah.
Like their faces are all deformed. We don't really get to know why.
And they have like some cybernetics to them a little bit.
Yeah, they have some cybernetic sort of machinery coming out of their faces, but their faces it's almost like maybe that's what's holding their face together from like turning into this goo.
Yeah.
True. And they try to explain exactly where the girls are to the girls, because in this reality there's like dragons in the sky,
half pterodactyl, half dragon thing, and then there's knights who ride them who speak a version of English.
It's like as if English and Spanish just had a baby. That's kind
but
of
it's
like
not Spanish. But
that's the best I could describe it in the sense of how the wording is organized, I guess.
I don't know.
It's weird because sometimes I don't understand it, and then sometimes I do understand.
But then you hear him talk. Then you hear those knights talking to someone who's English, and when he responds to them, you're like, "But that doesn't sound like what I thought I just read." Because what's weird is that you have these knights who are speaking some weird dialect, who are considered the adults because that's where the teenage boys are fighting. And then
I wish I could describe exactly, like, even reading it wouldn't really make sense to anyone listening right now.
It's very weird. It's like Erie, Indiana weird. It's like it's
okay.
It's
I will try though. Like, so for example, instead of they say de. Instead of young, they say young. So it's like the young locals be harmed and danger. No choice but to try as an adult. Because I'm reading it almost phonetically is how it's written. Mea culpa, grandfather. Me maxima culpa. But like they instead of using like
That's like Latin.
Yeah, it's like Latin blended. So I guess that's why the Spanish that makes sense. I guess
it's like Latin with current English with ye old English. Meshed
with
up
like
in one.
with like Scottish English type.
Yes. Yeah, because I was gonna say it seems more Scottish to me.
Yeah. But it's just so because when this light happens, their whole world gets flipped upside down. Colors are kind of flipped a little bit on their heads, but then when they go back to their current time, it's like whenever you go into this weird alternate reality, when you get put back into your world, you don't know where you'll land. It's like when you travel from our reality to the other reality, when you travel back, you might be not put back in the same time as you were originally.
Good God.
That
is that what you got?
That's what I got.
I have no... that didn't really explain much.
No, but don't you agree?
Hard to explain.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. Like, when I was reading it, I mean, they do explain why they have the ship at one point to Aaron. Like, the boys, the two boys were like, well, you need a spaceship. And she's just like, well, I thought you guys were time travelers. It's just like, yeah, but if you travel through time and don't take space into consideration, you'll just end up, because the Earth is constantly moving, you'll end up in the vacuum of space.
Which I thought that was actually a really cool thing to kind of say why time travel is like impossible.
Yeah,
because nothing is staying still.
You can't necessarily go back to where you were.
Yeah. Yeah, like exactly. Like when in Back to the Future, when he uses the train, when they travel on the tracks, for example, and they're like, well, the tracks will be finished when I go back. Yeah, but the planet will have moved.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for one of the things for Back to the Future is you can't only calculate time, you have to calculate time and calculate the Earth being in the exact same spot for those tracks to be in the exact same placement in the rotation of the axis and the planet in relation to where you are in your time machine.
So what this crappy book really does is it just ruins time travel for all the other things.
Let's not.
I'm sorry.
Saying it's
I'm
crappy.
Sorry. I time travel myself. I thought we were at the end, and I got to make my opinion.
There are elements like this that aren't properly explained. You kind of have to just take it and almost draw your own interpretation, or you can literally completely ignore it if you want, because it doesn't really matter much in terms of the story itself.
Yeah.
They end up in this weird reality with these deformed teenage boys who are running from these weird knights who are riding these dragons and capturing, I guess, the people of this town or this world. I don't know how far this goes.
Yeah, because you see,
and they're capturing them. The purpose, I don't know if I missed it. I didn't really understand the purpose.
No, that's it.
No purpose.
You see, the grandfather has like
the grandfather is the boss who runs everything, and he's telling them to go capture these people.
Yeah.
And there's a way between how they try kids versus adults.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, did they kill the adults? Because at the end, I saw some adults in the test tubes.
Yeah, me too. That's what I didn't understand. And also, what is their obsession with Apple products?
Right?
Yeah, like, so here's my parallel. That's a great point there. So in this, when they end up in this reality, one of the girls picks up, and Aaron picks up this Apple logo. It literally looks like a Mac or an Apple logo, like what we know as that. So I'm surprised they even were able to use that.
Yeah, I agree.
But it seems to me like Brian K. Vaughan, his what he's trying to do here is tell you that we're in a world where Apple runs everything.
Yes.
And we're like zombies to their products and to anything Apple puts out.
Yes.
So the girls didn't know what Apple was because they were in the past.
Yeah.
And when they found the Apple product, it looks like a phone, actually, right? It looks like an Apple phone. Because she mentioned
like
it's like a...
You know the iPod, the one that you could clip?
Yeah, that's the one that...
The mini?
Yeah, it looked like that, but slightly bigger. Because it is bigger in her hand. But at the same time,
it's a kid, right? So
but not the mini's not that big. Like, it's just the idea that like it was big enough in her hand, but it's square and it has the Apple logo. So I definitely don't think it's like the Apple computers that we know. Almost like an Apple TV box. I would say.
Yeah, that's true. But she mentioned something about. I'm trying to find it here.
One of the things the obsession with the Apple products was very interesting because when I was reading it. And like even grandfather is wearing an Apple Records shirt, which is not related to Apple Music.
No.
Which I don't know if you guys know the history, but quick little fact. One of the agreements between Apple Music and Apple was that you're allowed to use Apple in the industry for even though we're both in the entertainment industry, as long as you never go into music. And that was the original deal. And they actually had to go to court to come to an agreement when Apple started releasing the iPod and stuff like that. Because the original agreement was they would never go into the music industry. Like Apple Records is us, and you guys are going to be Apple computers, and that's fine. But you're never planning to go into music, and at the time they weren't.
Interesting.
So they had to come to an agreement later on. But yeah, I mean, the characters, like for example, we get introduced to this is what I wanted to talk about. We get introduced to a machine called an Editrix.
Editrix.
Yeah. So the Editrix is this machine that like I guess hunts people because like
this weird ball with tentacles coming out of it.
And with eyeballs at the end of the tentacle.
Each tentacle is an eyeball.
Mad creepy. Essentially, the way the girls get introduced to... So, we skipped over something real quick that might be a bit important. Aaron gets shot. Because when Mackenzie decides that they really need to go find a gun, they find a gun. And they go and they find Mackenzie's stepmother. And her stepmother's just like, your dad vanished. You're by yourself. We don't like, we're trying to figure out what to do. And it's, your father just disappeared and it's the rapture. Because that's what she's thinking. She imagines that they're in the rapture. Which, I mean, kind of made me think of the show The Leftovers too. The idea that everyone's just kind of disappeared. And you're like, well, why did these people disappear? Where did everyone go? So I understand that aspect of the story. Mackenzie tries to stop her when she tries to shoot herself. It kind of gets a little hectic, and they accidentally end up shooting Aaron. One of the things I found the most interesting about that fact, though, was the fact that Aaron didn't realize she'd been shot until she looked down. I thought that was kind of fun. I don't know, like
that is exactly how it would happen, though.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it had a real life.
Yeah.
Feel to it.
Yeah, because that moment of her like, oh, the bullet, you both missed each other, and just like, no, I got shot. Like,
yeah,
like you're falling.
The thing I thought was interesting about that though is like their reactions afterwards and how they rectified the situation. Like
when they drive off and stuff.
Well, no, it's because like I was going to make more of like, because like when we're looking at the initial time when you see like technology with all the characters, right? Mm-hmm. It's always very sleek and very clean and very like, I guess very futuristic. But how they actually solve her from getting like how to heal her was very like, I find
insects.
Yeah, the insects.
Yeah, like written like iPod with a capital I, lowercase I, capital N. Yeah. And then sex.
Because what I was going to go on to a tangent about that, because what I thought was weird is that the deformed characters or like the youngers people always had like crappy technology and all the older people have all sleek stuff. Even when it comes to the time traveling machine, it's like, it's not clean.
Oh yeah, like a junkyard. Well, they find a junkyard and they even say.
Yeah, they found everything in a junkyard and it's like they were talking about scrapping and all this type of stuff. And I just found that like...
Well, that's why that's the first interaction was when they took the walkie-talkie because they're... like. But I don't understand why they took the walkie-talkie.
But I found
because if they're doing salvaging and scrapyard work, why steal the walkie-talkie from her?
Well, that's
because then that starts a line of them following you and stuff. But they're not like the way this time travel, it doesn't seem like those boys knew those girls were supposed to interact with them.
But I don't know, because like for me, the thing I thought was really weird about this book, I found it a little bit all over the place at all times, and I found it not that it was hard to follow, but like I did have to double take a lot of stuff.
Yes,
I actually read beyond what we were supposed to read today to see if there was like
better explanation.
Well, just some type of direction, because I was there. I was just like, I don't know. It's like you kind of feel like you got slapped in the face, really. Like, you know when you get hit in the head and you hear like that bing. Like, I felt like that's what I felt like when reading most of that.
Damn. I think I definitely
there is a linear plot. Like, girls meet up, girls are now friends.
Yeah.
Girls travel to this alternate timeline. Girls meet these weird teenage deformed boys. One of them gets killed. The other two teenage boys come back, meet the girls, and say, "Oh, you gotta run because whoever killed my friend or my boyfriend, is gonna kill you too. Follow us." They get attacked by the Editrix. Somehow they kill the Editrix, which is also like, anyway, they shoot it and it dies. I guess it's that. But why do you unleash a monster that can easily be killed with 3-4 shots?
So my thing with the Editrix was the Editrix distracted when it was, because it catches Tiffany and starts to run Tiffany's life through her own mind.
Yeah.
But it doesn't run her. I don't think it ran her life. I think it just ran through her playing this one game.
It puts you in a sort of purgatory where you're kind of reliving your worst nightmare.
That's what I thought. See, that's what I thought it was, because she made it sound like, oh, I just relived my life and I wasted so much time of it playing the video game. But it's like, it doesn't seem like you wasted your life. It seemed like it literally just played out only that aspect of your life, at least from how the panels depicted.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But it's almost like, it's weird. It's like, is it evil? Because what it did at the end is made her realize that she wasted, I don't know how many days or years playing a video game and trying to beat a video game. And I feel like that it hits true with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. This book is definitely a commentary on our obsession with technology.
Yes.
Like that, the fact that the Apple products, Apple essentially takes over the world with regards to the technology from what we see later on. Like the Apple logo is on everything. Even that big, huge computer thing in the Wen house has an Apple logo on it. And
and when she finds, so this is what I was looking for before, when she finds the Apple product, which the first thing she says is, it has a logo a lot like the one on my computer from school last year. And then I've been thinking, is this some kind of micro version of it? And then the other girls are like, that's ridiculous. How would you fit an entire computer into something the size of a Klondike bar?
Yeah, I did like that.
And then that's when they started talking about the future. She's like, well, 30 years ago, computers used to fill up an entire room.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll get even smaller in the future. And they started talking about that. So it starts to make it feel like it is time travel, but then with this whole, like, you can't really travel back in time to the exact same spot, which it's still technically time travel, even though you're not traveling back to the same spot in time.
Yeah.
You're still bringing things back from your future.
Yeah, you're still displacing. But then
you can't necessarily go back to your own, like, where is the Wen house? So these two boys, like, where in time and space is the Wen house?
Yeah, see, that's something I definitely like to know. I'd like to understand that a bit, because the Wen house is huge. Like, it has, like, as far as you can see, it looks like an IKEA. It has 36 aisles from what we can see in the frame. And it looks like it's all networked through this Apple core computer thing. Essentially, it looks like what I imagine an Amazon warehouse looks like. Yeah. And instead of Apple, maybe that's what it's supposed to represent. It's supposed to represent, like, Amazon. It's just that because Apple is the big bad, or the big obsession with technology, they slap the Apple logo. But if anything, that's more commentary on Amazon, because that would make sense. Like, Amazon in the future, if time travel exists, I'm expecting them to take over with all their products and have a warehouse that you can just grab stuff from.
That's very true.
So that seems, I know, that's Toby's face. Oh wait, Toby, you got muted again. I was wondering why you didn't say anything.
After Aaron gets shot, and those deformed teenage boys are like, we can help her, just follow us. They go in the sewers, they find their machine, and then they take her to the Wen house, where they have these bugs who pretty much eat away at her wounds and heal her in some way.
Which, funny enough, is a throwback to, like, old time, because that's like maggots.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I didn't make that connection.
I was just like, very interesting cross between old technology and new. Anyway, sorry.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because they weren't like what are the nanobots or anything.
No, they were like roaches.
Bugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they start to try to take her back to her friends, traveling through whatever space and time. But then something happened. They were being followed, or they were detected.
Yeah, so that
and I didn't really understand.
It sounds like grandfather and his crew was trying to anchor them, like trying to pull them down to Earth
because they broke curfew.
Yeah, we're gonna have to break curfew. Yeah, so
I found the language very weird. It's like it as much as it's a talk about technology and time travel. I find it's a very much like young versus old mentality in this whole thing.
That's what it is. And the language, I get what he's trying to, you're always trying to be innovative and like create your own language or your own manner of speaking these kinds of stories, kind of like the 100 or the 100.
Yeah.
Where like the people are, the grounders have their own language and each tribe has their own way of speaking. So I get that. Yeah. But at least we get subtitles so we understand. And even sometimes the words they use are understandable. But in this one, it's hard to sort of get the logic of it with the way they're speaking.
Yeah.
So like having to break curfew because someone's trying to anchor us didn't really make sense to me in that.
I'll read the line again because essentially what it says is it's the old timers. They're trying to ground us. So instead of anchor, ground, but ground as in ground us.
Yeah, like
pull us out of the sky, but also ground us as getting punished. And then what's his name? Heck says, "Holy shit, we're gonna have to break curfew." So it sounds like the teenagers talk in context of teenage lingo. Yeah. Like being grounded, hold out, the response is we're going to have to break curfew.
Yeah, like when they were growing up, they only know so much vocabulary, so they banked off of the vocabulary they knew to like
explain the situation. Yeah. Well, at least that's what it seems like.
Yeah. But it's kind of reverse order because you break curfew
and then get
grounded. Exactly. So this is like we're gonna break curfew after we get grounded. Anyway, and then we flash back to the other girls running through the timeline where Aaron disappeared from. Yeah. But then those two deformed boys sort of meld into the ship, like it absorbs them.
Yeah, it looks like
because they had to do like some quick phase or quick transportation, and they couldn't calibrate everything. And it's funny because that was the only thing I found really predictable. I was like, okay, so you're gonna kill these. I knew right away you were gonna kill one of those guys. Like it wasn't even.
They both got dusted,
and then they would both get dusted, which is the only thing that was like upsetting. Well, sorry, there's many things upsetting about this book, but it was like the one thing upsetting for my interest because I was like, okay, so these guys are the only guys who seem to be giving us information. Maybe we could finally learn something. And then when they bite the dust, I'm like, if in the next few panels I don't start getting some type of like something to like hook me in, I'm gonna get really bored.
Yeah, when they met the boys too, they were speaking a weird like tongue that nobody could understand, and they had to use these translator sort of badges to. They're like, oh, let's turn the translators on, and then those translators weren't even their own technology; it's the grandfather's technology. Apparently, it's Apple tech, and that's how the Editrix found them because they can track those translators. So they destroy the translator, and now we can't understand them anymore. So every panel these kids are on, they're speaking, but then you only see like the characters of this language, which obviously makes no sense because it's like a weird mix of alien. It's like Kryptonian and Mandarin. Is what it looked like to me.
Did you guys find it funny that like the young were depicted as very like unclean or like hobo-esque like dress? Then you had like the regular adults, which were like super futuristic and like clean.
Armored, silver armor with
and then the old man is a fucking hippie.
I
was there. I'm like, I don't get this.
The old man is your typical like
Zen guru guy,
San Francisco hipster tech giant. One of those.
Big beard, big long hair, sandals.
One of the things I found cool that I don't know if you guys noticed when you meet the first adult, not grandfather, but like adult, and it's the black dude, and he realizes that the people he's talking to are locals, and he takes out his translator and he swaps it for one that speaks plain English.
That's true.
I found that weird because I was
maybe they were in another universe where that was like English and then he had to switch it out so that he's talking normally.
Well, because unfortunately he dies almost immediately after that, but I was kind of hoping for more of that explanation where, because he has that, you can see on his chest he has this little spot where like he can swap out gear, and he has one, and he has the one that's in so he can speak the same language as grandfather and his partner. And then when he sees the girls and they genuinely ask him for help because Aaron's been shot, they're trying to figure out how to get to the hospital. Tiffany's driving. Tiffany gets out of the car and it's just like, please help us. And like they say what they're supposed to say, what they've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the reaction is just like, oh, locals. And he swaps out the thing and starts speaking to them in plain English. He's like, let me just knock you out. Which is a really creepy thing for an adult to say to children. Let me just knock you out. It's not going to be a problem. Your friend will get healed. And they're all like,
here's some candy in my truck.
But it was I found that interaction really weird. But also, you know what? You're right. It is creepy. And then he immediately dies, which I guess in the sense that like, yeah, don't tell kids you want to knock them out because so hopefully society will kill you.
We'll teach them enough to like not.
Yeah, we'll balance out the karma in that situation.
I don't know just how much credit we should give Brian K. Vaughan for these social commentaries. There are some of them that are pretty apparent, but then those where it just doesn't make sense and we're trying to fill in the gaps. I really don't like that. And when we're reading books, it's kind of like if you're not going to give me an explanation in issues 1 through 5, then there better be an explanation for whatever it is that I needed an explanation for in the next few issues. But it doesn't seem like he goes back to explaining those at all.
Saga.
I gotta ask real quick to you.
This is definitely Little Saga.
Yeah, real quick to you, Dave. Did you feel the need, like you had to continue reading because you were just like, what's going on? Like when you get to the end of issue 5, because like I read it, I have volume 1, I read it, and I was just like, okay, I could wait to read the next one. Even though I don't understand, I was just like, it's not like when I read Deadly Class and I got to the end of volume 1, at end of volume 2, and I was like, whoa, I 100% need to know what happens in volume 3.
For me, it was just because of how, okay, so just like fast forward to like the end of this book. What happens at the end of this book, the girls are trying to figure out, what's going on.
We forgot to mention, so those 2 teenage boys take Aaron to another time, or the Wen House. The Wen House, leaving the other 3 in the woods.
Oh yeah, and then they interact with the
They interact with the female
that
knight.
Other soldier. Right, and then they knock her out through a series of events. They got away from her, and they're like, "Oh, we can try to find Aaron, but let's go back to the first ship we found. Maybe she'll somehow magically reappear in that."
One of them figures out they're just like, I think it's the same ship.
Yeah, maybe she was always in there.
Yes, which is what they realize when they get there, because she comes out and they're just like, so wait, the first time we saw this, and it makes sense because the first time they see it, they're like, oh, there's parachute material over this. That's weird.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then because it's parachute material, and then she opens up and Aaron comes out, and then one of them is just like, oh, so Aaron was inside and out here with us the first time. And that's one of those time paradoxes that I always find those crazy because I'm just like, good God.
I don't jump into it. I will say one thing though. Don't we find it kind of weird how the night people are kind of like pushovers with all their technology?
What do you mean?
Well, because the first dude dies right away, and then the three girls dupe the other girl by showing her a gun, which I would assume her armor and her fancy Atlantean.
But it wasn't to shoot her. They threatened to shoot her pet,
her steed,
her dragon.
Her dragon pterodactyl bird.
But then they just then that girl just shoots her again. Like she's just likes to pick up things.
Well, she grabs
but she doesn't know how to handle weapons. She's tough. She tries to play like she's tough, but she doesn't know how to handle weapons. She accidentally shot Aaron and then accidentally shot this woman too with her own.
She accidentally became a hero.
Mackenzie needs to stop touching things. Like essentially is what we see.
But no, then you fast forward to the end of the book where they're like, okay, we're gonna try and like figure out what's going on. The old guy with his knights try to confront the girls. The girls end up pressing one random button from this machine, and then they get brought back into what I'll say the normal world. But now they seem to be brought back into the future because they seem to meet Aaron's future self.
Okay, here's the thing that I don't understand. So what you're describing, so they're in the alternate reality / other timeline / I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They decide to, like Toby was saying, they run back to the ship because they think Aaron might be inside. They find Aaron. The ship is in the state they found it in originally when they were on their side.
Yep.
So they go back to it and they're like, okay, so Aaron must be in it. This must be the same ship. Why? why did they like, so when it switched from the other reality, like their main reality, to this reality the first time, was Aaron inside it then, and it just randomly teleported all of them?
This is
that's
chicken,
like that's
chicken
what
before the egg, bro.
That's one of the things I don't understand.
You're
like,
describing one of the reasons why one of my friends actually hates time travel stories and never reads them because he hates these weird paradoxes.
Yeah, if you don't have like, if you make it too convoluted like this, you can easily lose your readers in trying to understand exactly what is going on.
What I find weird is that it seems that Aaron needed the machine to travel. But then, because like what happens now when they're being confronted by the old guy and his knights, right? Something happens and they set off the machine and then they time travel again.
I don't even think
the machine is nowhere to be found when they show up in the back at home.
I don't think they set off the machine though.
No, the machine just does its own thing.
Yeah, because they're not near it, and then for some reason, and this is the part I really genuinely don't understand. Aaron says the tree of knowledge. Does anyone know why she said that?
Because at the very beginning, she's having this dream or nightmare. Before we know anything, she has this dream about picking up an actual apple, and then an astronaut comes up to her and said, did you find that?
Yeah, so it starts with her, is this, yes, Aaron, welcome to heaven, you're here, you're Krista McAuliffe. That's right, everyone from the Challenger is here, and so is your Graham, but not your fish. What a weird interaction. I don't understand.
And then she meets the devil.
But she says, my fish, I drowned it. Didn't I? You drowned a fish?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is funny that she said that.
And then the astronaut's like, no, it was the Russians. They got almost everybody.
Then
where's my sister? Oh, Missy? She's in hell.
Okay, so we warned you, never eat from the tree of knowledge. And then, so that's why she's saying the tree of knowledge? Oh, because she sees the Apple logo. Okay. Man, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. Thank you for asking me to reread that.
And my question to you is, did that really enrich her life?
No, I mean, I just needed to understand more because now...
But that gets getting to my point. To learn more about this book does not enrich your life.
No, but I do think it's the type of book that you have to read more than once. Like, you have to read it and then reread it.
I think it's the type of book you don't need to read.
Well, okay, save that for the end.
Save that for later.
Yeah, but in the story itself, the whole apple as a metaphor, I'm happy I understand now. Because now it makes sense why she sees his shirt and then says the tree of knowledge. She told you not to eat from the tree of knowledge.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's very possible, and I haven't read ahead like Dave, or I don't know how far you read ahead, Dave, but it's very possible that the reason everything has gone to shit later on is because this old guy, whoever grandfather is, ate, quote unquote, from the tree of knowledge or created Apple. Like, it seems like this Apple Corp will end up being like and again, I haven't read ahead, so I could completely be... I'm just guessing as a first time reader here is that's why everything goes to shit. He ate from the tree of knowledge and now he has created this crazy hell for everyone. But it's still pretty convoluted. I'm a little disappointed in Brian K. Vaughan in that aspect.
Yeah, for a volume one.
Especially with how,
like a volume one should definitely be like a pilot for a TV show where you introduce your characters, create the base plot of the story you're trying to tell, and, you know, make it so that we are enticed enough to continue reading, but we don't feel lost by the story we're reading. And for me, as much as I mean, I'm not going to give my final thoughts, but like, this is the type of story that I read it, then suggested it to you guys, then reread it, and then we're doing this. And even after the reread, the reason I said we should read it is because, you know, everyone says this is like multi-Eisner Award winner, Brian K. Vaughan, best new series, best writer, best artist, best colorist on this one comic. But it doesn't always mean...
I was high.
No, but I mean, it doesn't always mean when you have the best people together that you're going to get the best product. Just because you have the best 5 basketball players in the league on a team doesn't always equal the dream team.
Doesn't always equal chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's the chemistry. So for this... Sorry, guys. For this title, you know, it's the type of thing that I'm hoping the chemistry blends well as we go further. But reading the beginning, the story, I don't even know if the characters blended well together.
they all seem very disposable, even though they're main characters. I feel like any one of them could die at any time. It doesn't matter. And the only person that means anything is obviously Erin, because she's the first one we meet. She has this dream about everything. So she must, it's almost like she, in every timeline, she's dreaming about everything that's happened. You know what I mean? Like she's connected to each version of herself, whereas all the other girls aren't.
So, Dave, as the Brian K. Vaughan anti-fan, does this feel does this feel a little lost to you?
Well said.
That is
and
great.
Oh boy.
No, because at least Lost had a starting point that was of interest.
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus.
Okay, we'll save that for the end. We're going to go into the next segment before you start pissing everybody off. So we have that's canon, that's non-canon this week. We have to make it quick. But Deathstroke and Kraven versus the comedian, which is from Watchmen, right?
Yep.
And Nemesis, the character.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Jesus Christ. So where do we even start with this?
So I guess what I'll start off, because like so we put them in the gladiator pit. So I'm gonna say that Kraven has just basic knives and like all his tracking stuff. Deathstroke definitely has at least a sniper rifle, a regular gun, and his sword. Comedian has to have grenades, a regular gun, a big ass machine gun, MK type thing. Nemesis will have 2 handguns, because that's what he was depicted.
Yeah.
That was the only stuff he ever had on his body.
All right.
Just to help, like...
Kraven is dead.
I would think so.
Kraven is shot. Sorry, Toby.
Isn't Kraven immortal, though?
Kraven the Hunter? Is he?
Yeah.
What?
I didn't know Kraven the Hunter is immortal.
I think these facts need to be
You'd have to look
researched.
that up to confirm.
Yeah, because then things...
Yeah, because if he's immortal, then this whole game is useless, because then Kraven's going to win.
Yeah, no, but he's immortal in the sense that, like, if he just eats and does nothing all the time, he'll live forever. He's not immortal in the sense that
I know.
he can't kill.
Are you thinking Randall Savage? Because Savage is immortal.
Yeah, I know there's a... Okay, never mind. Okay, I can't really... Yeah.
Okay, so Kraven dead. No, I mean not to be cruel to Kraven, but I mean Kraven's an amazing hunter.
Yeah, but if they're put on opposite ends of the pit and there's like obstacles, maybe he could.
No, see, this is the thing you do. This is the thing Dave does. He always creates. Oh, maybe there's a pit, and in the pit there's now obstacle courses.
But I think
What are you talking about?
It's more like a dome. It's like, an environment.
Okay, so context. Are we in a jungle environment?
Yes.
Fine. If you're putting, so we're definitely changing the rules for the game this time, because we've never done this before.
You're gonna start terraforming it according to a character.
Exactly.
No, terraforming. That's it.
Let's say
the only thing.
Okay, so let's say you do that. The comedian who has been in Nam and survived a war, I still think the comedian will take out Kraven. Kraven might have the advantage of tracking better, but if you give him hand-to-hand combat with the comedian who has also done a war in a jungle, I don't see Kraven beating the comedian.
Oh, I've never said that. I was just doing this to spice up the conversation.
Deathstroke,
because Deathstroke in that environment, because Deathstroke would want to be found, like he wants to be tracked.
Yeah, true, eh? He's like, come and get me.
He wants you to think you know where he is. So he'll lead you exactly into a trap.
See, how I actually think this is going to go down is like, so you have Deathstroke and Kraven, like, oh man, who are you? You're on my team. Kraven what? You're a hunter? Okay, cool. So go hunt. And then Deathstroke is now actually hunting Kraven, so that he could find the comedian, because when the comedian tries to kill Kraven, which he does, then Deathstroke blatantly kills the comedian with a sniper rifle. Then Nemesis, who's been looking over this whole thing, basically jumps Deathstroke, gets rid of the sniper rifle. They have like a gunfight off, and then they just fight.
Yeah,
and then who do you think would fight hand-to-hand combat between Nemesis and Deathstroke?
Because I was going to say, the end of this battle ends with Nemesis and Deathstroke fighting. Because the comedian doesn't survive against Deathstroke at all.
But that's what I'm saying, like, sniper, and then they're fighting hand-to-hand.
Well,
is this a battle royale, or are they teammates?
Because look,
they're supposed to be, but I feel like Deathstroke wouldn't want it. I think Deathstroke would just go for, like, wanting to live.
Yeah, but Deathstroke using Kraven as bait, perfect sense. We've seen it in the comics. We've even seen it in Titans.
It happened like last week.
Yeah, Deathstroke's the type to use his own teammate as bait. We're perfectly fine with that. He uses Kraven as bait. Comedian goes after Kraven. Kraven's dead. Comedian dies by Deathstroke. Nemesis and Deathstroke are left. I think you and I can agree. Toby, if you have a different version of events, please entertain us with your version. But that's
definitely. I think I would agree. I just don't know if that's. I guess he would if he used Dr. Light the way he did.
Yo, man,
Titans, is that what you guys were?
Dude,
yeah, exactly, 110%.
Toby, he uses his own daughter that way in the comic book. He doesn't care about people. Terra, Rose, Light. Deathstroke does not care about people. That's we know.
Yeah, but then he's coming after them for Jericho. So I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like I literally imagine Comedian
killing I see what you're saying. He can care about people.
He could, but it's very not in this scenario. But I see I literally see Comedian killing Kraven, opening up a beer, and as he's trying to drink that beer, that's when he gets sniped.
Yeah, see, this is the problem with the comedian's problem is that he's like
very
he's not
cocky.
He's cocky and not focused.
No,
he's the type of guy that like after taking out one person would be like, taking care of business. Pops back a beer. Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah,
but okay,
hand-to-hand combat.
I would feel that Deathstroke and Nemesis would like confront each other. They would try and use guns, but their guns would like run out of bullets. Like I feel like this would definitely go down to like fisticuffs.
The only thing is, Deathstroke wears armor.
Yeah.
Nemesis doesn't really wear armor.
His suit is kind of armor-like.
I don't know.
It's like
doesn't he get
his suit is literally Black Widow armor like.
Yeah,
Kevlar
or whatever it is.
But I don't think Black Widow wears armor is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because in the comic book, doesn't he get all shot up at one point and he's like bleeding? Like,
but that's when he's in the prison, no?
No, not. He doesn't. Later on, when he's in
everyone else's blood.
When he's like, yeah, exactly. Remember when he's in like the White House? That like later scene.
Yeah, but I don't think. But he's also been proven to be able to dodge bullets more or less. Like he's able to like determine where you're gonna like. They're both very combat savvy. So I just feel based off of how it would go down, like I think like let's put it this way: as Deathstroke kills the comedian, like the Nemesis would like jump him, take like the sniper rifle, quickly disarmor it so it's like
take
pieces.
it apart. Yeah.
Then they're both like shooting each other close range with their guns. Those become like
useless.
No bullets.
Yeah, they run out.
And then it's like sword versus
like knives.
Yeah,
because he still carries knives.
He carries knives. So I feel like that's.
But in hand-to-hand combat, I think Deathstroke wins.
I'm giving it to Deathstroke too.
Yeah.
The only way.
I disagree. Nemesis 197 men he killed in one sitting. Hand-to-hand combat. No, I'm saying Nemesis wins.
Yeah, but none of those men were Deathstroke. I'm sorry. I'm still giving it to Deathstroke.
Deathstroke fights Batman.
I'm happy to have a 2-1.
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, Toby. Go ahead.
The only way Nemesis makes it out of this is if Wonder Woman comes and saves his ass. They were dating. They were dating at one point, but that's like
wait, Nemesis
100-1. Bro.
Yeah, because he was like the head of.
No, but this is Nemesis in Image Comics, the guy in the white outfit. Is that not who you were thinking?
Like the comic book that we did.
Wait, what? I'm thinking Nemesis from DC this whole time.
No,
wait, which Nemesis is that?
There's a Batman villain named Nemesis. No, that's who you're referring to.
No. There's what's it called? Tom Tresser.
I'm gonna go to Brian's big book of DC characters.
See, this is why it's okay.
I do enjoy.
We need to align because some characters have the same name. But the one I'm thinking of was like the head of the
one of the world's greatest disguised artists joined as government spy agents with the
I'm thinking the guy we did the miniseries. He ends up kidnapping the cops' kids and having them impregnate each other as like a torture thing.
You know
what?
You don't remember this?
Dude, we read so many here.
Yeah, remember Nemesis is the guy who he keeps going after the chief of police in different cities, and then he goes after the chief of police in like Washington.
Is this the podcast that I missed, guys?
No.
Oh, did you miss Nemesis?
No,
I didn't think so.
Not.
Okay, well, I honestly don't remember. He's in a white, like Batman-like costume.
Yeah.
Kind of,
like
but
anti-Batman.
Okay, kind of, but I really don't remember his powers. That's how forgettable this.
Can I just say though, your version of Nemesis, equally interesting a character, and I just read his bio, equally still works in this scenario.
That's what I was. Yeah, the whole time you guys were talking, I was like, well, yeah, okay, I see that.
Yeah,
then the 197.
Yeah, that's our Nemesis. Okay, so let's say we're gonna do both. If we're sticking with our Nemesis, I still think Deathstroke defeats him because our Nemesis, as great a fighter as he is, did 197 average people. They weren't martial arts experts on the level of Deathstroke and Batman.
But still, to fight 97 people back to back?
Yeah, because he's crazy and he's on drugs and he's also shooting a lot of them. Was it hand to hand?
No, it was hand to hand. It was hand to hand. He was fighting hand to hand combat people in SWAT gear.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, he can see. He already looked it up.
No, it's in SWAT gear. Some of them had guns. So you're telling me a guy who was able to fight, and one of his moves was he took a guy's baton and smashed it so hard into the guy's helmet that it went through the helmet and went into the guy's brain, and that's how he died. I'm sorry, Nemesis is taking out Deathstroke in this.
No, I don't see it.
Oh, I kind of okay.
You guys praised Deathstroke a little too highly in this scenario, in my opinion.
Because Deathstroke is a psychotic murdering machine.
And what's Nemesis?
Yeah.
Nemesis is also the same thing.
It's starting to come back to me a bit. It's like the gay son, all those.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And if they tried to abort the baby, there was a bomb and like all this really weird
I'm
stuff.
I'm happy to be 2 against 1, and I'm more than happy to start a petition with all the fans who watch this show to like prove that I'm right and they're wrong, and like start signing up on the online. So there you go.
If you guys are listening or watching this, and we're talking about, once again, you can look up Nemesis from Image Comics. And if you think Deathstroke...
No, Icon. It's actually Icon.
Oh, Icon. No. Apologies. You're right. It's, yeah. Icon Comics, which is subsidiary of Marvel.
Yeah.
But Icon Comics. If you think that Nemesis from Icon Comics could beat Deathstroke, please let us know.
And hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, hand-to-hand combat. If you think that Nemesis from DC Comics, who was on Suicide Squad and dated Nightshade, could beat Deathstroke.
And dated Wonder Woman.
And Wonder Woman. Which is impressive for a villain. I gotta say. Nightshade and Wonder Woman? Maybe that Nemesis knows what's going on.
He's properly equipped, that's all it is.
He might not beat Deathstroke, but he's about to beat that ass. You know?
He's about to beat that ass. That's hilarious. All right, cool. Split thoughts. I'm good with that.
Go. All right, guys. Final thoughts on this wild episode?
I love the attempt. I love the art. I loved everything about the look of it. It kind of reminded me of Saga a little bit. Yeah. Definitely nowhere near Y the Last Man. There's definitely more of a Saga look to it.
Yeah.
The art. Unfortunately, if this was a pilot, he would have lost me in the sense that, no pun intended. In the sense that I just couldn't wrap my head around the reason why things were happening.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to. Yeah. That's how much. So I would read everything after the first issue, read everything with intention or with intent.
Yeah.
And still just couldn't comprehend why it was happening. And I'm hoping it clarifies. And I might actually do the same and read 3, 4, 5 issues down the line just to see if I want to continue reading this. That said, man, I hate to do this to my boy Brian. But I'm gonna give this one 2.5 out of 5.
He's gonna give it less. So
I absolutely love that it's over. This was a waste of my time. It wasn't necessarily the most boring read. I will give it that. It was not necessarily the most boring read.
But it wasn't boring.
But overall, I felt lost during much of it, and I didn't enjoy it. I ended up reading 2 issues past what we were supposed to do it. It made me want to burn the book even more. It was very, very, very bad.
So you've read all the way to issue 7, and you still didn't like what was going on.
God awful. I actually flipped to like issue 20, and I saw like the highlights.
Yeah, the cliffhanger at the end of issue 5 where they meet future Aaron is still. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's like you still didn't explain everything that happened in the first 4, and now
you got rid of someone. KJ's missing. Yeah. You show her falling into water. It's like, what the hell?
One of the girls is missing. Yeah. So now there's only 3 girls, and now there's a 4th one, which is a future version of one of them. But we didn't get any explanation for any of the events that happened in the first 4. So I get why this just it sucks. It feels rushed.
This feels exactly like the same thing for Panther for me. Half-ass, half done.
Again,
I'm gonna have to dock you 30 seconds.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Why? I'm not defending anything.
Because you're taking time at the end of the show to still put jabs
I
in.
am moving full circle about the episode.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
There was no reason to put that jab in.
There was no thread. There was
no thread.
Yes, they're both half-assedly done in my opinion.
Unless you're the question and this is your conspiracy.
If you want, I can.
No thread.
Let me bring out the dartboard with all the red wire.
No
I'm down to go. But no.
Remember, 30 seconds.
I didn't think something could be worse than Lost, and I've been giving it today.
Damn.
Okay.
I am
5?
giving it. Well, what do we give Coyotes?
I don't remember.
Oh my God.
So let's say we gave Coyotes 0.5.
You're giving this 0.5?
I'm giving this 1.25.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I felt like 50% is probably what it deserves because I see.
No, because that's an American pass, and that still has the word pass in it, and it does not.
I read this the first time and was just like, okay, this seems kind of in line with the 80s themes that a lot of popular media has been going for. I like that. I didn't read it the whole way through the first time. I read more than half of it. I read just past the time travel stuff the first time where they travel, well, alternate reality, because they didn't know it was time travel at the time. And then finished it way later and was just like, this is a really weird title. And that's why I proposed it to you guys, because I was just like, well, what are the boys gonna think? Because whenever I read something that I think is like, if it's not something that pops out at me and it's like super fun and amazing, I'm like, maybe it's worth trying to see if maybe I'm the one that's just out of the loop. Maybe when the boys read it, they might be like, man, no, the writing in this was great. The art in this was great, blah, 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 blah. And we've had that. Descenders, I read it, liked it. And you liked Descenders, right?
I liked it too.
You didn't like.
I wasn't a fan of the art.
Yeah, that's it. You didn't like the art. I love the art. Okay, so that's it. This one I read it and I was just like, I love the art. Brian K. Vaughan writes interesting stories. I don't necessarily like how he writes his characters all the time, which I, even at the beginning, the elevator pitch, I made the jokes about, like, you know, I'm homophobic, but angry, but happy, but teenager, but like, it kind of just feels like he is kind of throwing around a lot of ideas. I don't know if he necessarily like puts the pin on every voice that he's trying to create. Whereas like when I read books sometimes, it's like, the fact that this was written by one person and these people have completely different thought out like characterizations, whereas these ones kind of feel like personalities, like different aspects of the same personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's,
you can't always write it. You can't always write ahead, I guess. You know.
No, and that's fair.
Well, yeah, that's completely fair. Like, don't get me wrong. My comments before, like, I still think Brian K. Vaughan does do good.
Yeah, he
stuff.
does.
Like,
yeah.
He's written a lot of stuff
for
over.
A reason.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason why he's around. There's a reason why he's done things for
and
DC,
I mean, he's
Marvel,
one of the
and all
ones.
these things.
I think he's the person we've done the most on this show at this point.
One of
them at this point. I think we've done 4 of his by now.
Mark Millar and him are the two we've done the most. I would say.
I would say.
But with that said, I'm giving it a 3. 3 on 5. Fun read. I like I said, I'm not tainted by the idea of the next 2 issues. So for me, I would be willing to read the next volume to see how it goes. But after that volume, if I'm not interested, I'll be like, okay, well, I can't. So without having read the next volume or any other issues and seeing what he's trying to build, I can give it a pass. I don't know how I'll feel after, like you were saying, like you continue to read and you were like, I hate it even more. And I could see that being a thing where like you read further and you're just like, oh God, like this doesn't get better.
In my opinion, it drags.
Yeah. But because I'm not tainted, I can still give it the 3 on 5.
Because he's not tainted, he still gets a 6 on 15.
Yeah.
That's
6 on 15.
No, it's not.
No, that's not a pass, yeah. Yeah, because 7.5 would be 50, yeah. So damn.
Yeah.
That's some cold scoring.
Sucks, but I really wanted to like this, but literally after issue 1, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm in for a bit of a
everything I suggest can't be the most amazing story I've ever read, because then that wouldn't be
Of course.
like, because what
make for good TV.
Yeah because what's the last one that the magician, not the magician, is it the magician?
Magic
Order. I genuinely really like the Magic Order.
I enjoyed it. I just didn't. It was just
it was okay.
The ending was a little predictable is all.
Yeah, because
I think my last favorite read of ours might have to be, I don't know,
White
Descender
Knight.
Maybe.
Oh yeah. Because
Defender might be my last favorite.
No, Empress. Wait.
Oh, Empress was good.
Empress was really good.
Empress is really good.
Empress could have been. Yeah, that's true. I didn't continue reading that one, which I might go back to.
Well,
no, Empress was
Empress is done. They haven't continued yet.
It
ends on a cliffhanger that we're still waiting to find out. Like, what was
happened?
Like, what was he? Because remember, it ends with like, you don't know who he is, and you're like, wait, what? And it like ends. You're like, you bastards.
Yeah.
But I really genuinely like Empress. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. I am at Brian Holiday, HOLIDAE. Brian, not spelled like Vaughan, BRIAN. HOLIDAE. Follow me on all social media, and you can also check out my other podcast, Geektastic Sci-Fi, and also Not a Journalist on franklinarmstrong.com. Dave, hit him.
For me, it's at Merc_Witta_mouth. That's it.
Toby.
And at that fit dude. And for my music, my new Instagram page, at abstract, that's abstract with a Q, not a CT, dreams, at abstract dreams.
Awesome, man. Guys, so at abstract dreams produced this beat, and you guys should check it out. And thank you very much. That's the whole show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace, guys.
Peace.